Words matter, and words matter to us too. We were provided by House leadership a list of words that are offensive to the majority around illegal immigration. Colleague from Loveland tried to tell his own personal story using some of these words as they were his words, and he was shut down. These words are used by the press, and my colleague from Fort Lupton quoted some news articles, and he was shut down. These words are in federal statutes, and yet we were shut down. We have the right to represent our constituents, which are about half of this state. Colorado Polling Institute poll clearly states that illegal immigration is one of the top issues for Coloradans. The founding of this country was based on hard conversations. Free speech is free speech for all of us in this chamber. Today we stand together to say that the minority being silenced and censored in this chamber is against the values we hold dear as Americans and as Coloradans. This isn't the first time we've been up here advocating for our voices to be heard. We do hope today will be the last. We demand that the majority stop silencing our voices and the voices of our constituents. We will continue to call out these injustices to us. It is simply wrong. We will not be complacent. We will not be quiet. It must stop today. Let us speak.
Members, I want to briefly respond and to offer that, as I have said before, I am committed to a fair shake for all members, for bills to receive a fair hearing and a fair process. Part of that is allowing free speech.
Since people came up here and said there's no real stats, I got 10 pages worth of them, so I'll read them in my 10 minutes. Virginia judge finds transgender teen guilty of sexual assault in Loudoun County high school girls' bathroom. He said he was trans. He was actually a biological heterosexual male. Oklahoma transgender student charged with assaulting female high school classmates in bathroom. This past April, another male claiming to be a female transgender student in California assaulted 2 of his female peers and was charged with assault, heterosexual. Transgender Wyoming woman convicted of sexually assaulting 10-year-old girl in bathroom.
Representative Bradley?
Yes.
I believe you've made your point about headlines. I'll ask you to make your comments directly to the bill.
My comments, Madam Speaker, are to the bill. It was said here in this chamber on Friday that I was fear-mongering and this was not happening. And now you're attempting to limit my ability to tell you how often it is happening. I was called a boogeyman and a straw man. I was called all of those things, and not once were these people gavelled down.
Representative Bradley, we'll stand in a brief recess.
Perfect. Awesome.
I am committed to a fair shake for all members, for bills to receive a fair hearing and a fair process. Part of that is allowing free speech.
So this bill is named after Tierra. And this was also the question that I brought up last week was, what about following the person with their criminal record? And it was stated, well, this would just happen. It just happens naturally. But this is a little bit of a trail to show you how difficult this can become. Tierra Latrice Kelly, also known as Tierra Latrice Powell, also known as Tierra Latrice Wells.
Representative Bottoms, I'm going to put us in just a brief recess. Thank you.
Okay, so what are the things that I cannot say?
I would ask that you refer to Tiara, her chosen name, and speak to her as a woman.
Again, addressing what I had started off addressing earlier with the criminal record, Tierra Latrice Kelly, also known as Tierra Latrice Powell, Tierra Latrice Wells, and Dwayne Antonio Kelly has
Representative Bottoms, I will ask you to leave the well.
You got it.
I am committed to a fair shake for all members, for bills to receive a fair hearing and a fair process. Part of that is allowing free speech.
Even the majority party's insistence on being a sanctuary for trafficking immigrants unprotected by documentation, turning them into a perpetually vulnerable slave class, exploitable.
Representative DeGraff.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to pause us for a moment and ask you to return to the content of the resolution, which speaks about Black History Month.
Yes, ma'am. There's a lot of history.
The votes that have been taken by members of this body are not reflected in this resolution, and your conclusions are not welcome at this time as you speak. I ask you to please focus on the content of the resolution.
The content of the resolution is history. So let me skip ahead. Thank you. I do agree that the history of all Americans, regardless of phenotype, be interwoven, because partial history is not correct history, and you cannot learn valid lessons from false history. But our children are forced to endure projects like the 1619 Project because it values narrative over fact. We could, or should, talk about how the first owner of a chattel slave was a free man of African descent. Or how the blood and treasure of Britain and the United States, trillions in today's dollars, went into fighting the slave trade that was promulgated by African American and Arabian empires who had based their economies
Representative
on capturing.
DeGraff, I'm going to put us in a brief recess. Thank you. The House will stand in recess. I am committed to a fair shake for all members, for bills to receive a fair hearing and a fair part of that is allowing free speech.
We will not be complacent. We will not be quiet. It must stop today. Let us speak.